Right, now we're joined by Russell Hastings, who is the lead singer of From the Jam. They're performing at the Copper Rooms tomorrow night, based at the University of Warwick. Russell, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, not bad after a travel up to Bury St Edmunds, where we are tonight. But yeah, all good.
So the tour is A's and B's. How's it been so far? Because I see you're coming to the end of this particular tour.
We are, yeah. Well, we started in Australia in a long way away in September of last year.
Right.
And these, we're doing just a scattering of dates, really, which were dates that couldn't be fitted in before Christmas. So we started in Australia and then came back to the UK and continued that tour right the way around the UK. And then we pretty much finish in Stroud on the 28th. And that's us done on the A's and B's tours. But it's been brilliant.
Tell me now about your personal story with From the Jam. How did you get involved?
Well, because I knew Rick some 14 or 15 years ago, Rick Buckler, who was the original drummer in the Jam. And our paths crossed at a radio station some many years ago, in about year 2000, something like that. And then we were friends for a bit, and then one day he said to me, look, I'm thinking about drumming again. Would you come in the studio and work me in? So we went in the studio and for about 9 months worked Rick back into playing, and so we ended up formulating a band called The Gift, which was the Jam's last album. And we went out just playing Jam songs, and myself and a bass player called Dave Moore. And then we were on the road for about 18 months, and one night we were at Guildford University and in Surrey, and Bruce Foxton phoned up and phoned Rick and said, look, we're on the same bill tomorrow night, why don't I jump up and play a few tunes? So we played on the night. We played Smithers Jones and down in the tube station at midnight, and then the place went nuts. And then an agency got hold of us and put a big tour together over here and in America. And that was 10 years ago. So yeah,
what a fantastic story. What was what were your opinions of the Jam before you joined?
I was a big fan anyway from day one, really. I was a big fan from pretty much from the age of, I know it's going to sound odd, from about the age of 11. I went to see the Jam late 77, Portsmouth Locarno. My brother took me. I went to see the Jam there, and then I saw the Jam right the way through, right up until the last gig at the Brighton Centre on the 11th of December 1982. So I'd seen them a lot. They were a big inspiration to me musically. I'd picked up the guitar around the age of about 12 anyway. So, they were, big idols at the time, and I was, a big fan.
I want to talk now about Smash the Clock, which, of course, is the album that you co-wrote with Bruce Foxton.
Bruce, yeah.
What was that like? Because, it features some fantastic artists as well on it.
It does, yeah. It was the second album that we've done together. We did Back in the Room first, back in 2012. And it was, it was superseded the Back in the Room, because I think that just the writing's a lot better on there than what we did for the first time round. The songs are really strong. Paul Weller played on the first album, played a couple of on about 2 or 3 songs on the first one, and then he played on a couple of songs. I think he played on 2 songs on this one. And then there was Wilco Johnson came and played a bit of guitar. Paul Jones from Manfred Mann and BBC Radio 2 DJ came and played harmonica on a track. But it was great, and it charted, so we were very lucky for it to chart, and very pleased when it charted, which was in the national charts. So it was really exciting, really, and it was great fun to write, because we weren't under any pressure from a record label to get it out. We are the record label, because things have changed over the years. So record labels don't really like to put money into things anymore. So we did the whole album down at Paul Weller's studio. And Paul would pop in from time to time, just seeing how it was going. And then when the album was pretty much finished, he came in and he added a bit of piano and he added a little bit of guitar on a song called Now the Time Has Come. I think he played a little bit on, and Pictures and Diamonds he played a bit on, and a song called Louder, which was great to work with Paul again, because we've known each other for quite a long time, and it was nice down at Paul's studio because of the vibe. It's right out in the country at Paul's. So it's very relaxed there. So we would go in like a working job, as we would at 10 in the morning, and we would leave at 6 at night, something like that. Over a period of, over a period of about 8 months or so, when we had free time off the road, and we were very pleased with the results.
What's it like? Because I know you said earlier you've been a fan of the Jam for such a long time. What was it like then working with Paul Weller in particular?
No, it was great. It was lovely. But because things happen over a gradual period of time, you sort of get a little bit more used to the fact that is a possibility, if that makes sense. So it becomes a little bit more normal, dare I say. And so you're not shocked that who might walk in a studio or come backstage or something like that. So you suddenly, I mean, when I first got together with Rick and Bruce, that was quite pressurised at the time. And I was aware that people would. The ideal thing for me was to go unnoticed, if that makes any sense. You know, I'd rather go unnoticed rather than people say, "Wow, what a terrible job he's doing." Because I sort of did the impossible, really, and that became by standing and playing in Paul's shoes. There's no getting away from that. That people were going to make comparisons, and fortunately, they've been very, very kind and favourable to me ever since.
Going back to the tour now, A's and B's, you're performing at the Copper Rooms tomorrow night at the University of Warwick. What songs can people expect to hear?
Oh, all the classic hits, you know, Going Underground Down the Tube Station at Midnight, When You're Young, That's Entertainment, you know, Smithers Jones, News of the World, Eaton Rifles, A-Bomb in Wardour Street, Modern World, you know, I can reel them all off, as well as a few songs off the new album, Smash the Clock, as well. So it should be a really exciting night. All the shows so far, most of them have been sold out, and they've been really good and power-packed. And we couldn't ask for much more, really. It's been a really exciting ride.
Now, your vocals in particular, although they are unique, many people see them as being quite similar to Paul Weller. How did that come about? I mean, do you base yourself on him at an early age, or is it coincidence?
No idea is the honest answer to that. I mean, obviously, those songs, when you sing those songs, because I grew up with them, so I guess it's a little bit like picking up an accent if you lived in a certain area of a town from a very young age. So when I was very young, I heard those songs, and I was very young, you know. So, but no, it's not, you know, purposely done or anything like that. It is only my voice.
Final things now. We're going to go to a quick fire round just to get to know you a little bit better. Who is the best artist you've worked with from outside the Jam?
Oh, Wilco Johnson.
Who is your favourite band growing up that weren't the Jam?
David Bowie.
What do you do to relax?
Play golf, walk the dog on the beach where I live, and I like boating, really. Getting out on boats and getting far away from it, anchoring off a few miles out at sea, and switching the engines off and listen to music, really.
What do you listen to when you do that normally?
Oh, loads of massive various across the spectrum, from classical to you know, pop, to some, you know, I'm really into some old Bowie at the moment. And because I was a Bowie fan growing up from a very young age, you know, I got into Bowie around 1970, 71. So, and again, my brother turned me on to that. And I've just been enjoying all the documentaries on him lately, because there's been some great unseen footage. And also, you know, you only know what you've had when you've lost it, you know. And it was quite an emotional time to watch all those documentaries. Bowie, I just found that Bowie was on the top of my go-to dinner list, you know, always was, even before he died.
I want to pause the quick fire round just for a minute now. I mean, a lot of people talk about 2016 and some of the people that died. You know, obviously, you had people from Status Quo. You got David Bowie. What did you make of it as a year? Yeah,
it was pretty scary, actually.
George Michael.
It was very close to home, because all those people that we grew up with. I mean, Bruce was good friends with Rick Parfitt, and we would often bump into Rick. You know, we worked with some festivals with Quo some years ago. And you'd see Rick around, and Bruce they knew him. They were out on the Quo tour some years ago, before Bruce was doing what he's doing with me now. And he was quite affected by that. You know, the Jam, obviously, in the early days, borrowed some PA equipment off of Status Quo, because they were from that Woking area. So they had quite an affinity with each other. But yeah, it was very scary, because all of a sudden you realise your own mortality, you know, and you think, well, it's getting very close. Especially people like George Michael and... you know, like you say, there was just so many people that seemed to die, and where everybody was saying, well, let's just get 2016 out of the way, which, it was a little bit unnerving, really.
Was indeed.
To be honest.
Going back to the quickfire then, do you support any particular sports club?
No.
No. No. Do you have like a pre-gig ritual that you do before? Yeah,
pace the room.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you find that you get... Is that nerves?
Yeah, nerves.
And have you found that that's kind of decreased over the years, or is it still always there?
Still exactly the same every night.
Oh, right.
Yep.
What's the best thing about touring?
Having a laugh with good friends on the road. You know, like being together, having a lot of fun. You know, that's one of the best things. There's a lot of best things about it. You know, playing great songs to great sold-out crowds all over the world. You know, my memories are full of places like Sydney, Sydney Harbour, New York, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, the UK. You know, of course, we've got to mention the UK. All over the UK, Ireland, Europe. I could go on, you know, and go into those places, and how lucky to get and see those places, you know, and to meet some wonderful people, you know, meet some great characters.
I was going to say, don't worry, we won't be offended here if you don't say Coventry or Warwick. But
Coventry,
where's the best place, honestly, you've ever performed?
They vary so much, to be honest, because it's all about what happens on the night. So you know what might be fantastic one night. You know, you go back there possibly the next year or the year after, and you play the same venue, and it doesn't quite gel together. You know, so it very much is very different night after night. So it'd be very. I mean, Brighton is a sort of a homecoming for me, but you know, saying that, London's a great place to play, Scotland's a great place to play, the mid country is a great place to play. They're all great. You know, it just depends on what happens on that particular night.
What's the worst thing about touring?
Travelling.
Sitting
in a vehicle for 6-7 hours and putting up with the UK roads. They're in such a you know, you can be sat in there. Most of our life is spent travelling. We spend a year every 3 years. We spend a year in hotels. We
really?
A third of our life is spent in hotels. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's how it works out. We've mathematically worked that one out.
Final thing, Russell. What's sort of one of the funniest stories you've had from touring, or a weird moment that's happened since you've been from the Jam?
Was loads, but this year we were playing Sydney. It was a fantastic, again, sold-out show. Came into the dressing room, and the door just burst open the dressing room just a few minutes after we'd gone in there after the show, and Leo Sayer burst in full song, and you know, it was like, wow. We'd already seen each other at some festivals throughout the summer, and he knew we were going to be out there, and he lives in Sydney. And it was pretty bonkers. We all had a photograph, and he wanted some photos with us, and likewise, you know, we've sent back home. And then when the door shut, when Leo left, Bruce went, "Did that just happen?" Was that Leo Sayer? Went, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Yeah." You know, you never cease to be amazed, really, what can and can't happen. But that was one of the most recent mad stories.
Fantastic. Thank you, Russell. And just before we let you go, obviously the tour is coming to an end, A's and B's, and don't forget you can catch it tomorrow night at the Copper Rooms at the University of Warwick. Have you got anything else planned for after that? Any more gigs?
We have, but we go to Hong Kong in April.
Wow.
We're going out there with Madness, and we're doing the Hong Kong Sevens, the rugby tournament out in Hong Kong. Just prior to that, we go to Denmark, and then we've got like a spring tour around in the UK. And then it's the festivals throughout the summer, and then the UK was sort of celebrating the 40th anniversary of the band being signed, which was from 1977, so we're playing a scattering of tracks off in the City album.
Russell Hastings, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure. Hi, my name's Russell Hastings from the Jam, and you're listening to Raw 12:51 AM.